Did this double dozer really push an insane 48-foot blade? In 1976, Russell & Sons Construction Company out of Longview, Texas, modified one of their two side-by-side Caterpillar D9H sets to build something out of this world. They called it the Double Dude. With a length of 48 feet, the enormous Balderson blade, set at a 45-degree angle, was pushed by the two tractors, offset to each other. A unique rear tie bar had to be specially constructed by the manufacturer. The curvature and angle of the blade was designed to move the most material possible to the side with minimal resistance. In 1977, the Double Dude could move 14,000 cubic yards of overburden per hour. Sadly, the fantastic Double Dude was quickly retired. Facing changes in mining regulations at the time, the design, also applied to a pair of Fiat Alice dozers by Russell, proved too difficult to maneuver while working. $4,500 excavator, actual machine, or just a toy? The AGT H12, a Chinese-made mini excavator, has been available for a few years, priced at an astonishingly low $4,500 brand new. But what does this ultra-affordable machine offer? You might be surprised. For less than $5,000, you get 13.5 horsepower through a single-cylinder Briggs & Stratton gasoline engine. The 36-inch wide machine comes with an operating weight of 2,200 pounds, or exactly 1 metric ton. Equipped with a .03 cubic meter bucket, the H12 has a digging depth of 5.4 feet and a maximum reach of 10 feet. This little guy can lift up to 100 kilograms, the equivalent of 220 pounds. Usually selling over retail in pre-owned condition, the $4,500 excavator also comes with a non-hydraulic thumb. So is it an actual machine or just a toy? That's what the amazing Andrew Camarada thinks of it.
For the price, this thing is excellent.
How much would you pay for a 315B in 2024? Following the introduction of the 315 in 1994, Caterpillar released in 1998 the 315B, a mid-size excavator sporting a design similar to the 345B and such, a personal favorite of mine. Primarily designed for construction tasks, the Caterpillar 315B was also very well suited for farm use thanks to its perfect size. Not too big and not too small, just enough to get plenty of work done around the property. Powered by a 3054 engine rated at 113 horsepower, the machine had an operating weight between 16.7 and 17.8 metric tons, with bucket capacities up to .88 cubic yards. In the early 2000s, the 315B was upgraded to the C model, sporting the new rounder design, just a little bit less tasty in my opinion. You can buy a 315B these days for less than 30 grand, just so you know. So would you say Grove makes the best cranes in the world? If you work in construction, you've definitely been around a Grove crane. Founded in 1947 by John Landis Grove, the company quickly established itself as one of the top producers in the mobile hydraulic industrial crane segment. One of Grove's notable innovations was the trapezoidal boom introduced in 1970, which improved the strength-to-weight ratio and provided better reach. This design became iconic under the tagline, "If it's trapezoidal, it's a Grove." With iconic models such as the RT58, offered from 1965 through the early 2000s, Grove expanded over the years, and in 2002, the company out of Shady Grove, Pennsylvania, was acquired by Manitowoc Cranes. Manufactured in the United States and Germany, Grove cranes are still known today for being some of the most innovative and reliable mobile cranes, making them an essential piece of equipment on job sites around the world. Did you know this about the Caterpillar 120G motor grader? The 120G is a classic motor grader originally released in the mid-1970s. By far the most popular model at the time, the Sublime 120G can be purchased at auction today for $30,000 or less on average. Obviously looking outdated now, the Caterpillar 120G was a beast of technology back in the day, featuring a climate-controlled enclosed cab, a 12-speed power shift transmission, and an innovative load-sensing hydraulic system. The successful 120G could be equipped with a 12-foot blade equivalent to 3.6 meters and was powered with a 3304 engine that could also be found in the 215 excavator released around the same time. The 120G sold like hotcakes and paved the way for its successor, the 120H, which debuted in 1995 alongside other machines bearing the H designation. Guess how much the world's smallest excavator actually cost? Shocking figure. Developed since the mid-1990s, the Komatsu PC-01, mainly available in Asian countries, is what the brand labels as a micro-excavator. As tiny as it gets, the machine is the smallest digger ever produced. With an operating weight of 380 kilograms or 838 pounds, the Komatsu PC-01 has a power output rated at 3.5 horsepower with a maximum digging depth of 3.5 feet. So would you call it an actual machine or just a toy? 3 years ago, a joint venture between Komatsu and Japanese giant Honda led to the electrification of the micro-excavator using swappable portable power packs, and so the PC-01E was born. Mainly designed for landscaping or minor construction tasks in small spaces, the minuscule excavator, not made available in America or Europe, is not that tiny when it comes to its price tag set well above the $20,000 mark. Okay, you can't tell me this isn't cool as shit. This is the Hemi, which means High Mobility Engineer Excavator. This machine, produced by JCB for specific military tasks, was originally engineered for the US Army and NATO-aligned forces, and its specs are just insane. Obviously designed as a next-level backhoe, the Hemi has an operating weight of 16 metric tons. This incredible machine can reach speeds up to 60 miles per hour, the equivalent of 97 kilometers per hour. Equipped with a 6.7-liter Cummins diesel engine, the Hemi has been deployed all around the world since its conception, with the US Army owning 800 units out of the 1,000 produced by JCB over the years. Produced in Pooler, Georgia, the Hemi is available with 13 total attachments, and JCB was awarded a contract that will field vehicles out through 2024. So who wants to trade their good old 3CX for one of these? Will there ever be a better dozer than the D11 in the future? From mining and heavy construction to large-scale landscaping, the beautiful Caterpillar D11 stands as one of the most accomplished bulldozers ever created by the American manufacturer, enjoying nearly 40 years of enduring success. Introduced in 1986 as the D11N, this dozer quickly became an industry benchmark, with demand so high that Caterpillar was producing over 100 units annually shortly after its release to meet customer needs all over the world. In 2023, Cat reached a milestone after producing the 6,000th D11, which was later shipped to mining contractor Thiess, which runs a fleet made of 310 Caterpillar dozers, mainly D11 models. Total engineering marvel, the D11 remains almost 4 decades after its market introduction, one of the brand's most enduring successes. So will we ever see another dozer this popular for those specific applications in the future? Share your thoughts. Well, you're about to see a hell of a machine again. Did you get it? In 1962, Caterpillar unveiled the 666 along with a raft of other machines part of the 600 series of motor scrapers, which included models such as the 641 or the even more famous 660. Designed as the largest production twin-engine motor scraper ever, the 3-axle 666 was boasting a whopping 54 cubic yard heaped bowl. It was mainly developed for heavy open-cast mining applications. Originally powered by a 450 horsepower V8 diesel engine and a 335 horsepower power plant fitted in the scraper, the 666 was then upgraded to the B model in 1969. The 666B featured Caterpillar's 8-speed semi-automatic transmission, while the early version ran with a 9-speed power shift transmission. In 1978, the motor scraper was officially discontinued. Imagine the sound of 8 Detroit diesel engines running together. In 1950, Robert Letourneau unveiled his electric wheel innovation, a concept used 10 years later on a series of scrapers under the trade name Electric Digger. Success was minimal, but the engineering was out of this world. Released in 1966, the LT300 consisted of a front unit powered with 4 Detroit diesel engines and a rear unit powered by 3 of them. Combined, the 2 massive hauls could fit 300 tons of dirt. 1 year earlier, Letourneau released the LT360, the largest self-loading scraper at the time. The unit was driven by 12 internal wheel electric traction motors, and it could load 360 tons of material in 80 seconds only. Also known as turn-a-pull scrapers, many different prototypes were tested over the years. But the self-propelled line officially came to an end in 1981, after the last Letourneau-Westinghouse/Wabco was ever built. This is one of the most ingenious construction techniques of all time. In a construction site with loose sandy soil, ensuring the ground can support a high-rise building is crucial. So to prevent uneven settling under the structure's important weight, we use a well-proven technique known as dynamic compaction. Most often using a crawler crane, dynamic compaction is achieved by dropping a large steel or concrete weight, often called a tamper. This kind of attachment often ranges from 5 to 15 tons but can weigh up to 40 tons. When the heavy weight impacts the soil, it generates shock waves and vibrations that rearrange the particles in granular soils. Excess pore water in saturated soils is expelled, helping to consolidate the ground for the construction. Cost-effective compared to other deep ground improvement methods and suitable for large areas, this compaction technique can treat a range of soil depths, typically up to 35 feet. A great example of engineering ingenuity right here. Tell me how amazing this machine is on a scale of 1 to 10. When it was introduced to market in the 60s, the Huff H60 payloader wasn't called a wheel loader. Instead, the machine was labeled as, quote, an articulated tractor shovel, and that beautiful thing was definitely designed as a pure workhorse. Also produced as a rigid frame tractor shovel, the H60 was rated at 110 horsepower with 3 engine options available: the 6-cylinder International and Cummins power plants, and the 3-cylinder Detroit 371. Tipping the scales at 5,500 pounds, the H60 payloader came with a 1.75 cubic yard bucket, but could be upgraded to an optional 3.5 cubic yard scoop. And this piece of iron sold like hotcakes. Engineered with full box section boom arms for extra strength, the fantastic Huff H60 payloader featured a full power shift transmission and operator's choice brakes. This is what we definitely call a pure engineering marvel, right? This man kept laying asphalt while being married to an American icon. The man you see in this picture is named Carl Thomas Dean, and since 1966, this good-looking fellow has been married to a true American icon, Dolly Parton. But despite his wife's fame, Carl decided to live a different life. Born into a blue-collar life, Carl stayed true to his roots. While his wife performed on stages around the world, he quietly ran a small asphalt company in Nashville, Tennessee, embodying the life of an everyday working man. Over the decades, reports have consistently highlighted Carl Dean's quiet and humble nature. While his wife, Dolly Parton, entertained the world, he was perfectly content running his asphalt business, working alongside his employees and serving his customers. Sadly, a few days ago, Carl Thomas Dean passed away at 82 years old after living a life of solitude. A complete opposite of Dolly Parton, Carl preferred to remain out of media glare and could be called a loner of sorts. Hell of a dude. This is how a sweet British guy made train spotting cool again. This is Francis Bourgeois, a sweet young man from England who could easily be labeled as the most passionate train spotter in the world. One thing's certain, if you're having a bad day, watching this guy is sure to lift your spirits. A true walking encyclopedia, Francis knows everything about the British Railway, its history, its legendary locomotives, and more. While he appreciates steam, his heart belongs to diesel-powered engines, and when the horn blows, his reactions are simply priceless. Francis turned his childhood passion into a sensation during the pandemic when his TikTok videos went viral. His infectious enthusiasm even landed him the opportunity to host the digital series Train Spotting with Francis Bourgeois for Channel 4. Also passionate about good old French trains, the young man is watched by millions of people all around the world and is known to make train spotting cool again. So if you haven't heard about Francis yet, make sure to go look him up. This blue-collar worker had an idea and turned it into a billion-dollar company. This is Hans Lieber, a man born in 1915 in Germany. At 23 years old, Hans became his own boss, running a small construction company that wasn't doing so well. But the guy had an idea that would change the world forever. After World War II, cranes were purely static, making it impossible to dismantle and transport them easily between job sites. In 1949, Hans Liebherr changed that with the TK-10, the world's first mobile tower crane. A true revolution, the TK-10 opened the door for Hans Liebherr to expand his business, leading to the development of new products across multiple industries, including construction machinery, household appliances, and aerospace. On October 7, 1993, Hans Liebherr passed away, leaving behind one of the world's most influential manufacturing companies. Today, Liebherr generates $14 billion in revenue while remaining a family-owned business. Hats off to you, sir. This man created machines until he turned 84. Do you know who that is? This is Joseph Cyril Bamford, a name that might not ring a bell for most of you. But if I say his initials, you'll recognize them instantly. JCB. That's right, the man behind one of the world's most famous construction equipment brands. Bamford founded JCB in 1945 after serving during World War II. Known as one of the greatest British engineers ever, JCB introduced the first hydraulic tipping trailer in Europe in 1948, and it all took off from there. A typical day for Bamford meant 16 hours of drafting, engineering, and refining his marketing strategies. Despite achieving great wealth in his 40s, JCB was known for his frugality, so much so that his wife still made their own curtains. When Joseph Bamford died in 2001, he was still drafting projects. The man left behind the largest privately owned engineering company in Britain, manufacturing 30,000 machines a year in 12 factories on 3 continents at the time. This man made millions building machines, then he gave it all away. This is Robert Letourneau. Born in 1888, he dropped out of school early and worked a series of odd jobs before finding his calling in heavy machinery. He saw a world that needed infrastructures, so he built the machines that made them possible. A self-taught engineer, Robert Letourneau quickly mastered his craft, revolutionizing earth-moving and heavy equipment with groundbreaking innovations like motor scrapers, massive dozers, tree crushers, and some of the earliest electric drive systems. During World War II, Letourneau's machines built airstrips, roads, and military bases worldwide. In 1953, the man sold his entire earth-moving equipment line, including plants, land, machinery, and inventory, to Westinghouse. Letourneau credited his success to God and gave away much of his wealth to charity. But even in his later years, retirement wasn't in his vocabulary. Well into his 70s, he was still designing and dreaming of new ways to move the earth. This old man still operates a grader at 95 years old. This is Roland Bushy, a grader operator from Canada who started in the business in the mid-50s. For 7 decades, Roland got up every day at 4 in the morning and got home at 7 in the evening after spending the day operating his Caterpillar grader. Learning the trade from his father, who was also a grader operator, Roland Bushy quickly became a true master of the craft. With a keen, experienced eye, he could grade gravel with remarkable precision, long before GPS technology. It was reported in 2017 that Roland Bushy, then 87, was officially retiring. Media's even covered the story of this living legend. But guess what? 5 years later, in 2022, he was still out there grading. Used to work no less than 12 hours per day, Roland Bushy is a big fan of the Caterpillar 140M and sure doesn't miss older graders. In 2025, Roland will turn 95 years old. Make sure to leave a comment for this amazing dude. This is the story of a man and his Caterpillar D5 dozers. This is Freddie Bowe, a remarkable man who's been operating his Caterpillar D5 dozers for 50 years. He honed his skills in eastern Kentucky, building roads, pads, and delivering some of the finest grade work you could ever ask for. Freddie has had 2 of those D5s, a 1968 and a 1972 model, which he liked much better than the B, released in 1977. Hard to disagree with that, knowing how amazing the 96J units were. First released in 1939 with only 46 units built, the Caterpillar D5 was reintroduced to market in 1967. It was upgraded one more time in 1972, this time boasting a significant 105 horsepower. Proudly nicknamed the General, Freddie enjoys spending time with his son Tim watching these videos. So, purely out of respect, I wanted to show you guys what a true master operator looks like. Hats off to you, sir. So you operate a grader and you think you're tough? Watch this. This is Tony Toya, an Australian man who labels himself as a remote grader operator. a job that regularly takes the man hundreds of miles from the nearest town. Let's be clear right away, this is not a lifestyle for everyone. Operating a Komatsu 655, Tony is the only remote grader operator working on the most far-flung roads of the Shire of Laverton, which covers about 2,800 miles. He can be weeks without seeing a human being. Obviously, this kind of job comes with a whole lot of potential trouble, like the day Tony became bogged and spent 3 days in the pouring rain crab walking the grader out. But loner at heart, he didn't even care that much at all. Pulling a trailer with the grader, Tony travels with 265 gallons of water and 2,500 gallons of fuel, plus a few amenities. The reason why he doesn't go nuts out there? He listens to Jimi Hendrix and that's all he needs. Hell of a dude. These are the New Holland Powerstar tractors. Who's gonna get one? More powerful, more comfortable, and more fuel efficient. That's how New Holland describes the new Powerstar tractors unveiled just a few days ago by CNH. But what are those brand new machines about? Let's do a quick review of the models. New Holland's new Powerstar offering is made of 4 models, including the 90, the 100, the 110, and the 120. All 4 units feature a 3.6-liter 4-cylinder engine with outputs rated between 73 and 117 horsepower. The tractors were also announced with a full lineup of brand new LU Series front loaders offering more lifting capacity, greater lifting height, faster cycle times, improved visibility, easier coupling, and refined control. Sporting New Holland's signature blue, the new Powerstar Series tractors deliver outstanding fuel efficiency. These latest models are set to arrive at dealerships in Q4 2025, though pricing has yet to be announced. So who's going to get one? So, were RK tractors good or bad in your opinion? RK tractors were a brand of compact and utility tractors sold by Rural King in the United States. These tractors were introduced in the late 2010s and were marketed as affordable alternatives to established brands like John Deere or Kubota. With machines rated between 19 and 74 horsepower, RK tractors were manufactured by TIM, a South Korean company known for producing tractors for various brands worldwide. They were sold exclusively through Rural King stores. For example, a tractor such as this RK55 model sold for $36,900 and could be fitted with tons of attachments such as backhoe, loader, mower, landscape rake, or grapple. Unfortunately, Rural King stopped selling RK tractors in 2023, reportedly due to supply chain challenges and business restructuring. So who's got a chance to run one of these? Let us know in the comments what your experience was with these. Is this the best compact equipment money can buy? Kubota's B series of compact tractors was first introduced to market in 1972 with one goal: offering small machines matching the performance and usability of larger models manufactured at the time, and the concept definitely worked. Less than a year after releasing the B series, Kubota had already sold 2,000 units of its tractors on the American market, and that success would clearly set the pace for the next 50 years yet to come. Rated from 12 to 30 horsepower, the B series was seen from day one as the perfect tool when it comes to typical tasks such as mowing lawns, working on light construction, or landscaping. Since its introduction, more than 200 models have been offered by Kubota as global demand never stopped to increase, to the point where in 2024, the compact tractor market is estimated at right around $8 billion US. These may be small, but they're definitely not toys. These are some of the rarest tractors ever produced. In 1968, John Deere released the WA-14 and WA-17 tractors, respectively sold for $35,000 and $41,000. Too expensive, overlooked, and misunderstood, only 51 units combined were ever produced. The Steiger Tiger 3470, equipped with a Cummins engine, was released in 1977. But in 1980, the same tractor equipped with a Cat 3408 engine was introduced. Only 20 units were produced. In 1984, International Harvester released the 7288 model, sold for $83,000. Only 19 units were built, right before the Farmall plant in Rock Island, Illinois was shut down in May of 1985. A total of 16 Jackson 444 tractors were made in 1970, just before Ervil Jackson passed away. Rated at 210 horsepower, The 444 originally sold for $17,000. So would you call this tractor the best Farmall ever made? The Farmall Super C replaced the C in 1951 and was the second model in the Super Series. Except for the white circular Super C logo on the hood sides, International decided to keep the new version looking exactly like the old one. Competing with tractors such as the Alice Chalmers CA or the Oliver 66, the Farmall Super C was rated at 24 horsepower through a 123 cubic inch gasoline engine. The tractor became an instant market hit. Well advanced for its time, the Farmall Super C came with International's Fast Hitch, a quick connect 2-point hydraulic hitch system with a line of matched implements. A standard Super C sold for $1,700 back then. The Super C was discontinued in 1954. It was superseded by the Farmall 200, known to be pretty much the same machine. Despite being similar to a Super C, the 200 model's price was increased by $300. This tractor generates 5,000 foot-pounds of torque. Do you know what that means? In 1905, Case released the 150, also known as the road locomotive. Designed beefy, the machine was the most powerful steam tractor at the time. Only 9 units were ever produced until one man decided to build his own. Fascinated by the Case 150 from a very young age, Corey Anderson couldn't live with the idea that all 150s ever produced were long gone. So in 2017, the talented guy and many volunteers turned a dream into a reality. After 15,000 hours of hard work, the 35-ton, 150-horsepower steam tractor was shown off during the legendary engine pull in Rolag, Minnesota, back in 2019. But Corey's stunning replica was about to break another record. In September 2022, the Case 150 set a new world record after plowing with 50 bottom plows in Andover, South Dakota. The amazing tractor generates an astonishing 5,000 foot-pounds of torque. Would you give the David Brown 990 Classic tractor status? In the summer of 1961, well-known British manufacturer David Brown released a brand new tractor, the 990 model. The farming machine was the most powerful wheeled tractor the company had ever made at the time. Sold with the Implematic designation, the 990 was powered by a 3-liter diesel engine rated at 52 horsepower, a power bracket largely dominated by the Fordson Major and the Massey Ferguson 65 back then. In 1965, the tractor was upgraded with a new transmission, and the unit became the 990 Select-O-Matic. This upgrade alone would help David Brown to keep the machine in their catalog for the next 15 years to come. In 1980, the production of the 990 came to an end. It's been reported that between 1965 and 1980, David Brown produced 67,000 units of the Select-O-Matic. Farming classic. So who had a chance to see Big Roy in real life? Nicknamed Big Roy, the versatile 1080 is a giant tractor built in 1977 in Canada. While some think it was aimed at the Australian market, others think it was most likely built to compete with other manufacturers' giants. Named after the company's president Roy Robinson, Big Roy sits on 4 axles and is powered by a Cummins diesel engine that generates 600 horsepower. It carries a 550-gallon fuel tank located ahead of the cab. The tractor is over 30 feet long, 11 feet high, and weighs over 30 tons when ballasted for field operations. A 9-inch TV monitor is installed in the dash to allow vision to the rear. Cutting-edge technology back then, huh? Pure concept, Big Roy was donated to Manitoba Agricultural Museum in the 1980s, and in 2016, the tractor was brought back to the Versatile factory and was completely restored to celebrate its 50th anniversary. Daddy always said there would never be a better tractor than the 1066. Agree? The 1066 was released in 1971 as a replacement to the Farmall 1026, an aberration in the IHC tractor numbering system. Pure workhorse, the 1066 is still seen today as one of the best red tractors ever produced. Using a good old 414 cubic inch turbo diesel engine, the 1066 developed 126 horsepower on the PTO and 108 drawbar horsepower. But the 1066 was also offered with something special. See, in the early 1970s, cabs weren't really a thing yet, but as trends were shifting in the farming industry, International offered the 1066 with an optional deluxe two-door cab with AC, a farmall first. In 1973, International Harvester decided to rename hydrostatic tractors, eliminating both 966 and the 1066 models and replacing them with the Hydro 100. So who still runs one of these beauties? Remember when quality and longevity meant something? In 1963, John Deere had to replace the 4010 tractor after selling 40,000 units of it, and so was born the 4020 model, a machine that would meet an incredible market success for almost a decade. The John Deere 4020 provided operators with multiple front-end options, such as single-wheel, tricycle, and even roll-o-matic. It also offered additional tire sizes, which can be adjusted to match different row crops. Rated at 84 drawbar horsepower, the 4020's most innovative feature was its power shift transmission, which allowed for movement between gears without needing to use a clutch. 3 different body types were available. Between 1963 and 1972, John Deere sold over 184,000 units of the tractor, making it one of the most talked about JD machines ever, back when quality and longevity still meant something. This is definitely one of the most important tractors ever made. The Farmall F12 was introduced in 1932 as a small, low-cost, all-purpose tractor. It was designed with one goal: replacing horses on small farms. Only 25 units were manufactured in its first production year. Dual tricycle front wheels were standard on the McCormick Deering Farmall F12, but a single front wheel was also a highly popular option. The tractor could be purchased with steel wheels or optional rubber tires. Featuring orchard, industrial, or standard tread versions, the Farmall F12 was powered by a standard 16-horsepower gasoline or distillate engine powering a 3-speed transmission, allowing no more than 4 miles per hour. By the time production switched to the revised F14 model in 1938, more than 123,000 units of the F12 had been sold, making it one of the most important farmall tractors in the history of the brand. Remember when Ford used to release badass series like this one? Introduced to market in 1957, the Ford PowerMaster 801 series was a highly versatile line of tractors. True to Ford's approach, the middle number in the tractor's designation changed depending on the selected options. Often confusing, those designations included the 811 for Select-A-Speed but no PTO, 841 for 4-speed, 861 for 5-speed models with live PTO, or 881 for Select-O-Speed with dual-speed PTO. With the right options, the Ford PowerMaster 801 series, built in Highland Park, Michigan, offered a powerful and economical loader tractor and a good basic all-around chore tractor that's still fun to operate today. With power options rated right around 50 horsepower, the Ford 801 series was discontinued in 1962. Highly popular in America, a total of 150,000 tractors were produced over 4 years, all designations included. Did you know Porsche built tractors before they made amazing cars? In 1956, Porsche joined forces with German manufacturer Mannesmann to produce tractors under the brand Porsche Diesel, after several failed attempts to conquer the European market since the early 1930s. Equipped with in-house diesel engines, the Porsche tractors quickly became popular, and by 1957 the brand had already sold 11,000 units, taking Porsche Diesel from 6th to 2nd place on the German market. In 1958, production doubled, and models named Junior, Standard, Super, and Master offered Porsche Diesel a lineup of tractors ranging from 15 to 55 horsepower. But the success story was about to come to an end. In 1962, Mannesmann understood they couldn't compete for long with big guys such as Ford, New Holland, and French manufacturer Renault. In 1963, Porsche Diesel stopped production and was officially discontinued. And this is how farming was changed, forever. After 2 years of intense field testing, International Harvester released in 1925 the McCormick Deering Farmall, the very first tractor that would soon establish the brand as one of the most legendary names in the farming industry. Built in tricycle configuration, the first Farmall, also known as the Farmall Regular, took the market by storm, to the point where by 1927, International was able to produce close to 10,000 units of the tractor annually. While many farmers thought that it looked strange at first, the revolutionary Farmall Regular instituted the practice of planting in rows, as well as the replacement of horse-drawn farming, improving and changing farming forever. Rated at 20 horsepower through a 4-cylinder gasoline engine, the McCormick Deering Farmall Regular was replaced by the highly upgraded F20 in 1932, after a total of nearly 135,000 units were produced. This is the story of the Allis-Chalmers WD tractor. Released in 1948, the Allis-Chalmers WD was the successor of the highly popular WC model, which remained in production for 10 years, and the WD represented a significant advancement over its predecessor. Main improvements included power-adjustable rear-wheel thread, as well as a live PTO and an increased engine speed to 1,400 RPM to give a power boost. The tractor had a weight of 3,400 pounds. Rated at approximately 30 horsepower, similar to the WC, the Allis-Chalmers WD was offered in both gasoline and tractor fuel configurations, as tractor fuel was seen as an innovative alternative to kerosene or gasoline at the time. In 1953, Allis-Chalmers stopped producing the WD to replace it with something that would become another gigantic market hit, the famous WD-45. A total of 146,000 units of the WD were produced over 5 years. Okay, use one word to describe the Massey Harris 55. Released in 1946 together with other two-number tractors, the Massey Harris 55 was advertised then as the world's biggest tractor on wheels and the world's most powerful tractor available at the time. The Massey Harris 55 initially came with gasoline and distillate engines only, but later added LP gas and diesel options to power the 4-speed transmission, offered with hand or foot clutch configurations. In the early 1950s, you could purchase a 7,500-pound Massey Harris 55, rated at 64 horsepower, for about $3,800, the equivalent of pretty much $50,000 in today's money. In 1955, the tractor was discontinued and was replaced by the beautifully beefy 555 model. A total of 21,931 units were produced in 9 years, all engine variants included. This tractor established Oliver as a key player in the farming industry. As the Great Depression eased, farmers were eager for advanced technology and began buying tractors in droves. A great opportunity for the Oliver Corporation, which introduced its groundbreaking 70 model in 1935. Featuring a 6-cylinder engine running on high-octane gasoline, the now legendary Oliver 70 tractor quickly established the brand as a serious contender in the world of farm machinery, moving away from the stodgy Hart-Parr designs. While not as revolutionary as a Farmall or Fordson, the Model 70 set a new benchmark by blending sleek automotive design with agricultural functionality, establishing a standard that would influence tractor design for the next 25 years. Offered with an optional electric starter and an optional 6-speed double-neutral transmission on later models, the Oliver 70 was replaced in 1948 by the 77, another piece of art part of Oliver's glorious past. Did you know these amazing historical facts about tractors? The term tractor originates from the Latin word trahere, which translates to pull. This name aptly captures the primary purpose of tractors, machines designed specifically to pull or haul various agricultural implements. When Caterpillar introduced its first track tractor in 1904, the design wasn't originally intended for agriculture. Instead, this initial tractor, which later evolved into the modern bulldozer, was purpose-built for logging operations. The very first successful internal combustion engine tractor was the 1892 model engineered by American inventor John Froelich. Sadly, the machine was a commercial flop despite the use of a single-cylinder gasoline engine. In 1960, International Harvester boasted annual revenues nearing $2 billion, roughly half of General Motors' earnings that year. Yet, in less than 2 decades, the company went from being one of America's leading manufacturers to full bankruptcy. This is the story of an amazingly flawed Farmall tractor. In 1958, the 66-horsepower Farmall 560 was released together with the 460 model, but it would later be known for something Harvester had not encountered much in the past: a manufacturing flaw. The 560 experienced problems due to the final drive designed too weak to handle the power of the engine. So an entirely new rear end was offered by International in mid-1959 through a massive recall campaign. Despite the obvious poor publicity, the 60 series was, quite ironically, a great success for International Harvester, to the point where the company registered the best sales year in the history of IHC in 1959. Selling for $5,500 back in the day, the equivalent of $57,000 in 2024, the Farmall 560 was discontinued after 5 years on the market. A total of 65,982 units were produced. Did you know this used to be the most powerful bulldozer in the world? The HD-41 was released by Alice Chalmers in 1970, making it the first production crawler bulldozer to break the 500 horsepower barrier and stealing the T-Rex 8880 spot for the world's most powerful single dozer. The HD-41 was powered with a 12-cylinder Cummins VT 1710C diesel engine rated at 524 horsepower. The machine had a weight of 65 metric tons. Equipped with a blade that was 20 feet wide with a 28 cubic yard capacity, the HD-41 was first tested with a 300 horsepower engine in 1955, and a two-engined prototype was built in 1963. In 1974, Fiat and Alice Chalmers merged into a single company, Fiat Alice. The HD-41 became the 41B as its weight was upgraded from 144 to 160,000 pounds. Ever wondered where the design of the skid steer all began? Before World War II, Robert Letourneau gave himself a mission, producing a faster dozer than regular tracked bulldozers available at the time. And so in 1945, the 300 horsepower T200 Tornadozer was born. 2 years later, in '47, the much larger Model A was released, this time boasting a 750 horsepower Packard diesel engine configured to run on liquid butane. The engine was later derated to 500 horsepower. Not long after, the B Tornadozer was introduced to market, this time powered by a 300 horsepower Buda diesel engine. The machine had an operating weight of just about 51,000 pounds, or 23 metric tons. After briefly developing a CI version, Letourneau then released the Super C model in late 1948, a smaller version rated at 210 horsepower. In 1952, a special version called Tornatractor was offered. Yeah, they thought this would compete with a D10 dozer. So you probably heard about the Melrose Company, well known for manufacturing its Bobcat skid steer products before that part of the business was sold off. But did you know about the multi-wheel dozers they tried to produce for 4 years? The first multi-wheeled machine came out of the factory in 1978. These next-level dozers were aimed at taking a bite out of the large crawler tractor-derived dozer market with one main feature: high-speed mobility. The M870 model had a weight of 200,000 pounds, while the largest ever built was the M880, tipping the scales at 225,000 pounds. The dozers featured twin engines producing 850 horsepower. In 1982, Melrose stopped the production of the multi-wheeled dozers after facing a massive commercial flop. A total of 10 units were produced over 4 years. Some of them are still used today, but definitely not as dozers. That's one of the most important Caterpillar machines ever, right? In 1938, Caterpillar released the D2, a crawler tractor powered by a D3400 engine, which was the smallest diesel Cat had made to that time. And this machine helped cement Caterpillar into history. With a top speed of 5.1 miles per hour, the Caterpillar D2 was available in many factory variations. The tractor was so versatile it could be seen on farms, in orchards and vineyards, logging, and on construction sites. Easy to transport, the D2 was upgraded to the U version in 1947, this time boasting Cat's new D311 diesel engine, which led to an increased drawbar power and a maximum drawbar pull improved by 18%. After going through another major makeover in 1953, the Caterpillar D2 was discontinued in 1957. It has since become an absolute collector's favorite. Many farmers still use it today, 86 years after its market release. If you think this is just an old bulldozer, you're wrong. This is the Komatsu D355A. This amazing dozer, on top of being a good old classic heavy construction machine, is also part of one of the most memorable moments in American history. Can you guess what I'm talking about? With an operating weight of 44 metric tons or 98,000 pounds, the 355 could be equipped with a blade of 20 cubic yards of maximum capacity. But it's definitely not why this dozer is so special. The Komatsu D355 was the dozer used by Marvin Heemeyer back in 2004 for his rampage in the streets of Granby, Colorado. There's now a pretty cool name for this modified 355, Killdozer. I like it. The D355 came out in 1974, and it was designed to compete with Caterpillar's D9 series. Upgraded many times over the years, the 355 is nothing short of a classic, even more so after Marv's rampage. This is a Caterpillar D11, and this is how much it costs to run it hourly and yearly. The D11 is one of the largest and most productive bulldozers ever produced. First released by Caterpillar in 1986, the well-proven machine comes at a cost of just around $3 million, but it's definitely not what matters the most. Running a D11 will cost you between $80 and $120 per hour in fuel alone. The combined expenses of fuel and operator wages constitute approximately 80% of the operational cost. Including basic preventive maintenance, a Caterpillar D11 dozer will cost its owner about $280,000 annually, on the low end, when that cost will be close to $600,000 for the same machine used in the most extreme conditions. So I get it. This sounds like a whole lot of cash for one dozer only, but just remember one thing. In the right hands, the more fuel you burn, the more work gets accomplished as more material gets pushed. This is possibly one of the worst bulldozers ever built. This is the Nortrac NB 3500 bulldozer, and if you've ever had the misfortune of operating one, you'll likely agree. It's one of the worst pieces of junk ever sold to Americans. But let me explain why. Released in the 1990s, the Chinese-made NB 3500 was available through the Northern Tool catalog for $15,000, with free shipping included. While it seemed like a great deal at first, many buyers were quickly disappointed once it arrived. Rated at 30 horsepower with a reliable Perkins diesel engine, the Nortrac NB 3500 was plagued by electrical issues, a notoriously bad transmission that frequently locked up, and best of all, tracks that had a habit of falling off constantly. Clearly too small for typical bulldozer work, the NB 3500 can still be found today for right around $5,000 US. So who was unlucky enough to experience this little guy in the past? Let me know in the comments. Did this double dozer really push an insane 48-foot blade? In 1976, Russell & Sons Construction Company out of Longview, Texas, modified one of their two side-by-side Caterpillar D9H sets to build something out of this world. They called it the Double Dude. With a length of 48 feet, the enormous Balderson blade, set at a 45-degree angle, was pushed by the two tractors, offset to each other. A unique rear tie bar had to be specially constructed by the manufacturer. The curvature and angle of the blade was designed to move the most material possible to the side with minimal resistance. In 1977, the Double Dude could move 14,000 cubic yards of overburden per hour. Sadly, the fantastic Double Dude was quickly retired. Facing changes in mining regulations at the time, the design, also applied to a pair of Fiat Alice dozers by Russell, proved too difficult to maneuver while working. You just got hired and it's your very first day on the job. Your boss gives you a choice between two machines. One is brand spanking new and features all the new technological crap available, and the other is, well, quite rusty. So your first option is a brand new, straight out of the factory fully loaded Komatsu D475 dozer with rear view camera system, power ladder, and all the comfort you can imagine. You'll be the first one pushing dirt with it. That doesn't sound like a bad first day, does it? Your other option is a 1996 Caterpillar D11R. This machine was already on the site when the project started under Steve Balboni in the 90s. Everyone in the company knows the bulldozer as the Dirty Whore. So here's your dilemma. Are you going to go for comfort despite a brand you don't care that much for originally? Or are you going to go for something much older but known to be as tough as it gets? Comment in 3, 2, 1. This is an insane war machine right there. The IDF Caterpillar D9, nicknamed Doobie, is a D9 armored bulldozer used by the Israel Defense Forces since the late 1980s. The machine was heavily modified to increase the survivability of the dozer in hostile environments. The Army mainly uses a fleet of D9R models, which develop up to 410 horsepower and drawbar pull of 71.6 metric tons. The Reserve Forces also use two other older models, the D9L and the D9N. Each dozer requires a crew of two, one operator and one commander. The cabin is protected by bulletproof glass windows to protect against bombs, machine guns, and sniper fire. The fitted armor package adds roughly 15 additional tons to the production line weight of the D9. The modified dozers can be fitted with disparate features such as crew-operated machine guns, smoke projectors, or grenade launchers. These are the dozers used to contain wildfires in California. Established in 1885, the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection has for mission to construct fire lines in one of two ways, with fire crews using hand tools or by using heavy equipment including bulldozers. The bulldozer line is constructed by blading the ground and removing flammable material down to bare soil. These machines have become an essential tool and are part of the arsenal needed to contain wildfires in California. Throughout the Golden State, CAL FIRE commissions multiple models of 130 to 150 horsepower dozers, which includes the Caterpillar D5H, as well as 3 different types of D6s and the John Deere 750J. Fitted with 10-foot wide blades, the CAL FIRE dozers are equipped with brush guard screens and fire curtains. Please leave a comment down below in appreciation of the amazing work accomplished by these people who risk their life daily. This is the story of Tiger Cat. In 1992, a small group of people with extensive experience in all facets of the logging equipment industry teamed up with the McDonald Steel Company from Ontario to create a new company. The name of that firm? Tiger Cat. The first product, the Tiger Cat 726 Feller Buncher, came out the same year and the success was immediate. 3 years later, in 1995, the Canadian brand opened a primary production site in Paris, Ontario. In the following years, Tiger Cat continued its vertical integration strategy and expanded its catalog with skidders, shovel loggers, harvesting heads, grinders, and even dozers, such as the TCI 920. 30 years after its creation, Tiger Cat has now become a leader in the forestry and materials handling equipment industry. The company employs 1,500 workers and generates on average $700 million annually. Have you ever heard about the world's largest tree crusher? In October 1960, Letourneau out of Longview, Texas, introduced the world's largest tree crusher ever produced, the G175. The monstrous diesel-electric powered machine went into service in May of 1962. With an operating weight of just about 175 tons, the giant crusher required 6 rail cars to transport. 4 days were needed to offload and reassemble the 56-foot-long engineering marvel. The 175 was powered by 2 Detroit engines rated at 840 horsepower. The crusher had 2 massive rollers, each equipped with 6-inch grousers to rip fallen trees as the machine was passing through timber. Quickly known for its constant mechanical failures, the Letourneau G175 never met commercial success. One unit, manufactured in 1964, is still on display in the town of Mackenzie in northern British Columbia. So, is this the best clam bunk skidder ever designed? The Tiger Cat C640H is a clam bunk skidder designed to drag high-capacity loads in sensitive terrain conditions. This is the largest skidder in Tiger Cat's current catalog, but let's go through more technical details. The C640H is equipped with a massive 32-square-foot clam grapple, the equivalent of 3 square meters. Ideal for long-distance log transporting, the 640H has an elevated clam to reduce drag resistance. Powered with a 262 horsepower in-house power plant, the superb skidder has a length of 36 feet, a width of 12 feet, and has a weight of 25 metric tons, or 54,000 pounds. The TigerCat 640H is also equipped with a 2.3 meter wide stock blade, or an optional extension taking the width to almost 3 meters. The cab also features a turnaround 220-degree rotating seat. Is this John Deere knuckle boom loader a future classic? John Deere introduced its new knuckle boom loader in 2016, the 437E. After a little bit more than 8 years on the market, the loader has become one of the most successful forestry machines ever released by JD. Rated at 173 horsepower through a 6-cylinder Deere engine, the 437E is the largest knuckle boom loader offered by the American manufacturer. The machine sells for well over $300,000. With a 437E, you can lift up to 17,000 pounds of logs within 15 feet of the center line of rotation, and nearly 9,000 pounds at full extension, approximately 30 feet from the same line of rotation. After nearly a decade on the market, John Deere's 437E established itself as a cornerstone of the brand's forestry lineup. So does it have the potential to become a classic reference in the future? You tell me. That's how a small forestry equipment company became an industry giant. Timberjack was founded in Woodstock, Ontario in the 1950s by Wesley Maggle and Robert Simons. The pair started designing an articulated four-wheel drive tractor with a winch at the back, and it all took off from there. Timberjack quickly gained a reputation for producing high-quality forestry tractors and skidders. As a result, the brand became one of the most trusted names among loggers and forestry professionals from the 60s through late 90s. In 2000, Timberjack faced a major change when it was acquired by John Deere. The acquisition allowed the American giant to strengthen its presence in the forestry sector and benefit from Timberjack's rich background. In 2006, John Deere decided to get rid of the Timberjack brand and integrate its forestry equipment under the John Deere name. This decision marked the end of Timberjack, but its legacy remains intact in everyone's heart. So they say Barco is built tough and built to last. Would you agree? Founded in 1963 in Superior, Wisconsin, Barco Hydraulics specialized since day one in machines designed for rugged forestry and logging tasks. Over 60 years later, the American brand is now recognized worldwide. King of the forest, Barco offers a wide range of machines including tracked harvesters, feller bunchers, truck and trailer mount loaders, industrial wheeled tractors, and strong arm grapples through the 22 and the 50 series. Absolute staples in North America, Barco machines can often be spotted on logging projects, still going strong despite often being older than you and I together, just like this 160B spotted by yours truly in southwestern Virginia. Leading the industry with innovative forestry solutions, Barco built in half a century close to 30,000 machines, and the brand is currently distributed through more than 100 dealers in the U.S. Built tough and built to last. Is this the Rolls-Royce of compact track loaders? In late 2021, ASV unveiled the RT135, one of the most powerful compact track loaders ever produced, engineered and designed to outperform in conditions where other machines in the segment wouldn't even stand a chance. Selling for right around $150,000 excluding any attachments, the impressive ASV RT135 Forestry is powered by a Cummins diesel engine boasting an industry-leading 132 horsepower. With an operating weight of 13,000 pounds, the RT135, produced in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, features a rated operating capacity of 3,500 pounds and a tipping load of 10,000 pounds. Mainly designed for forestry applications, the 135 carries a 52-gallon fuel tank for increased ability to work all day without refueling. As premium as it gets on paper, ASV's track loader sounds like a luxurious machine. But is it? Okay, please rate Komatsu's forestry machines from 1 to 10. Major actor in the construction and mining world, Komatsu, just like John Deere, is highly involved in the amazing forestry equipment industry. So let's have a look at some of the machines currently offered by the Japanese manufacturer. Komatsu offers 7-wheeled harvesters ranging from the compact 901 to the 23-ton 951XC. The brand also offers 6 different forwarders, the 895 model being the most powerful option. When it comes to tracked machines, Komatsu currently produces 3 different harvesters, as well as 3 feller bunchers, with the XT465 model as the flagship piece, rated at 331 horsepower and 34 metric tons. Komatsu also provides no less than 12 harvester heads, the C202E being the largest option manufactured, with a head opening of 25.6 inches and a weight of 4,400 pounds, or 2 metric tons even.